Greetings, fellow seekers of truth and wisdom. Today, we embark on a profound exploration of the human condition, a journey through the depths of our collective consciousness, where the timeless truths of spirituality converge with the complexities of our modern existence. In the hustle and bustle of our daily lives, it's easy to lose sight of the deeper truths that lie beneath the surface. The truths that remind us of our interconnectedness with the universe and the infinite potential that resides within us. We find ourselves caught up in the whirlwind of modernity, swept away by the currents of materialism, ego, and societal expectations. Yet, amidst the chaos and confusion, there remains a yearning to reconnect with something greater than ourselves, a yearning to remember who we truly are and why we are here. It is this yearning that drives us on our spiritual quest, propelling us forward on a journey of self-discovery and awakening. The human condition, according to ancient spiritualism, is a conditioning whereby humans derive their very sense of self or identity from this separate self, or this ego personality. Throughout our lives, we have been conditioned to believe that we are our minds or this ego personality by truly forgetting who we are. Humans are always operating in a state of forgetfulness, implying unconsciousness, by becoming unconscious almost 80% of the time. Our mode of living is through the conditioned personality. But who you truly are is deeper than the person and all the limitations of the mind, meaning who you truly are is that which transcends form, identity, and the dualistic categories of this universe. When we say you are trapped in the human condition, in other words, we are saying you don't know yourself as this deeper, intelligent, conscious being. You know yourself as the ego which controls and runs your life without you knowing it. Instead of using the mind for its intended purpose, people are being used by their minds. We can say consciousness as the true self is on a dream-like state, implying consciousness doesn't know itself as itself. It knows itself as the conditioned person because a lot of people are deeply identified with their ego. When pure consciousness as the real you is identified with the ego, this is known as the conditioned consciousness, a term that is often used by a spiritual teacher called Eckhart Tolle. The human condition is not only when people derive their sense of self from the separate self, it also includes humans living as if they are separate from each other. What I mean by that? I mean that humans are not living as one. We are perceiving each other as separate entities, which creates more separation consciousness in this planet. I will talk more about the aspect of separation consciousness shortly. By nature, we are all interconnected by an infinite consciousness, the all, as you want to call it, which manifests as different forms in this universe. Meaning separation is an illusion, and we are all part of the one consciousness manifesting as unique individualized souls, which I am one and you are the other. This is called unity consciousness. I will also talk about it later on. What enhanced the illusion of the human condition is what we call separation consciousness. Separation consciousness is when you derive your sense of self from your mind, the separate self, by perceiving reality as separate from you. The mind by nature is dualistic. It operates in a system of duality, like good and bad, me and them, past and future, like and dislike, here and there and more. That's its job in this world of duality, and you cannot change that fact. Science calls this relativity, as Albert Einstein, the famous physicist, came with a theory called the general theory of relativity, where he states that things in this world are relative to one another. But it describes the exact same thing as duality. This is because science is catching up with spirituality. Due to the nature of the mind being dualistic, it is only capable of perceiving things as separate from it because that's how it was programmed, to view reality as separate from it. This could be people, animals, nature, and so on. As long as you believe that you are your mind, guess what you're going to get? Of course, you're going to get separation. The problem is not actually the mind. The problem is when you believe that you are your mind, the separate self. That's what the word separate self came from. It came from ancient spiritual traditions describing the mind viewing reality as separate from it. And I'm not saying the mind is bad for doing that. What I'm trying to tell you is you are not your mind. You are that which transcends the duality-based mind, which I would call non-duality or the infinite consciousness. Humans are living through the separation consciousness of the mind, which allows them to see others as separate, which creates havoc and destruction on this planet. Instead of sensing or acknowledging the beingness in the other, the moment they encounter someone, they quickly perceive him or her through the lenses of their conditioned personality by judging that person, not realizing that you and that person share the same eternal essence of life. They perceive the other according to how they behave and what they look on the outside. And I'm not saying you should like what a person does. What I'm trying to show you here is that you can go beyond that personality by acknowledging their beingness that is inseparable from you. That is the reason why people tend to be enemies with one another, because they are operating from that level of separation consciousness, which in turn strengthen their sense of self, ego. If someone did something terrible to you, this doesn't mean you should go and seek revenge to that person. You can still take actions to protect yourself if it's necessary. To bring peace in yourself, you have to forgive that person energetically, and this doesn't mean you should continue to like the person or what they did. This means you don't allow the enemy to stay inside of you, and the rest you live it to life to deal with and realize that the other person is just another part of you who forgot who they are. As Jesus stated in the Bible, "Forgive them for they don't know what they do." Due to this human condition, there is no peace and prosperity to this planet. People are creating suffering for themselves and others, and if we don't live that conditioning behind, I don't think humans will ever make it, and this will be a continuous suffering with no end. Trust me, my beautiful friends. Luckily, planet Earth is going through a shift in consciousness, and more people are awakening to who they truly are. So, how to free yourself from this human conditioning? Well, you do that by remembering who you truly are, although it is not a doing but a remembrance. I'm just using language as a pointer. Remembering who you are is to energetically enter unity consciousness. Unity consciousness is when you stop deriving your sense of self from the mind by simply transcending the separate self through what we call transcendentalism. When you stop believing that you are your mind, you remember who truly are in your essence, and that's transcendence, and the moment you realize that, you enter unity consciousness naturally. When I say you enter unity consciousness, I'm not referring to a place where you need to go, because that statement is a figure of speech, and what I'm trying to imply here is entering unity consciousness means to remember who you truly are in your true essence by releasing the identification with the personality and sensing the oneness in all things. That's entering unity consciousness. Unity consciousness is also a term that came from ancient spiritualism, which describes oneness, the all, the interconnectedness of all things, meaning when a person released the identification with the ego, they realize their true essence of life, which is inseparable from the things around them, including other forms of life. Instead of living like separate entities, a person comes to a realization that they are one with everyone and everything around them. In that way, a person can spread true love in the other because they can sense the beingness in themselves and other individuals. When I say true love, I'm not talking about an emotional love you have with someone. I'm talking about true love, love that is independent on anything or anyone, and that's the consciousness itself beyond emotions. That is the love that people should bring in relationships and other situations, because the world needs you as the teacher of presence. Bringing presence in this world is not about meditating on your own in nature. Yes, when you meditate on your own, you feel better. That is fine also, but that is not enough to cultivate presence on this planet. You must also bring presence when you interact with other people, whether they could be a stranger, a person a homeless person, and so on. By simply acknowledging the other person beingness, You spread consciousness in the other, and it affects the people around you instead of perceiving the other person through the lenses of your conditioned personality. That's unity consciousness by its nature, to realize that you are one with all things around you. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery and reflection. Your presence and engagement mean the world to me, and I am deeply grateful for your support. Remember, our exploration doesn't end here. Let's continue to learn, grow, and inspire one another. Until next time, stay curious, stay open-minded, and keep shining your light brightly in the world. Thank you, and may your path be filled with peace, love, and abundance. Namaste.